Hello, welcome to another blog. I realise I'm starting this the same way that I started my last one. But there we go. Just got in from work. I'm going to pour myself a little tiny, literally just a mouthful of red wine. Hello, it's Friday night, finished work. Forgot how quickly it gets dark, which is kind of depressing. Thought I'd open some book mail. I'm not gonna lie, I know what this is. I did order it from Amazon because I thought it would be quite hard to get hold of this book, and proved it was actually fine. It was on Amazon. Got Year of the Tiger, An Activist's Life by Alice Wong, editor of Disability and Visibility. I read Disability Visibility last year off of May's recommendation. She mentioned that book quite a lot last year, and then I saw she'd recently read this, and I was really liked the fact that it was mixed media. Alice Wong seems to be an absolute force to be reckoned with, and very interested in what she has to say, because I think Disability Visibility was amazing and introduced me to quite a few new writers, and I really recommend it. So I'm excited to pick this up. I might even start it tonight. I'm really in the mood to read. Also, I just went home and picked up some books at my flat. Don't know where I'm going. Right, yes, I was going to show you this. I picked up some more books because I wanted to come home and just make a nest out of books and sleep and go to bed at like 8 o'clock. So that's what I'm going to do. I bought Midnight Chicken and also a book I really want to pick up straight away. I was going to save this for Christmas, but I think I'm just going to start it tonight. I didn't realise that she's got a new book out called The Year of Miracles. I think I'm going to ask for it for Christmas. And I recently listened to Book Recos and they were talking about it, and it sounds amazing. This sounds amazing. Don't know why I haven't picked it up yet, so I think I might tag team these two tonight. Also on my list for this month is Bodywork by Melissa Febos, The Radical Power of Personal Narrative. Yes, really want to get to this. This can be in another pile. Journal of a Solitude, by May Sarton. Another one that I really want to read before the end of the year for non-fiction, November. Another podcast that I listened to, I think it was the end of last week, was the Women's Prize for Fiction Bookshelfie, I want to say, where interviewees pick 5 books by women that has shaped their life. I listened to the Scarlett Curtis episode because I'm a huge fan of Scarlett Curtis. I think what she does is so cool, like the feminists don't wear pink book and it's okay to be blue, them collection of essays. Anyway, really cool girl. And she was going on about how much she loved Virginia Woolf, and I've had this on my shelf for a really long time, Mrs. Dalloway, and I've never read it. And she was talking about her mental health and how this kind of references mental health. Don't really know, I think it's set over one day, isn't it? But I don't really know that much about it, if I'm being honest. But I've heard it mentioned obviously numerous times by so many different people that I feel like I should pick it up at some point soon. She said she like read it about 50 times, so must be good. Anyway, that's my reading plans. I'm just gonna go get into bed, maybe have some cheese, definitely have some cheese, and get cozy and make a nest out of books. And yeah, but this is basically gonna be my week, I think. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Too much cheese or not enough? I don't think it's enough. Just come back from eating an obscene amount of cheese. No regrets so far. About, or not about, 26 pages read of Year of the Tiger. Loving it so far. Alice Wong is actually a hero. Loving this style of memoir. So it's told, she's using like mixed mediums. So I've just read an interview between her and her best friend, which I loved. They kind of grew up together and they have this amazing familiarity and chemistry that you only ever get with somebody you've known like for the majority of your life. I mean, when they're doing this, they're 40, born at basically the same time, they're 41 years old. Like that length of friendship, it's just a joy to read. So there's interviews, there's like, she talks about lessons from Chinese school, which I found so interesting, because I've never, so there's like teaches you how to write a Chinese character and then space for you to like practice. I love that element. So it's very like, feels like a very tactile book that you're meant to really interact with it, which I'm really enjoying. There's question and answers, there's essays, there's pictures, there's art, cartoons like that. Really love it. And I just feel like she's just so aware of herself and the world around her in a way that a lot of people aren't. Like, she's just cutting through the bullshit like with a very hot knife, and it just, really, really good. So thoroughly enjoying this, and I'm realizing recently that I do just love memoir. It's probably up with, at the minute, probably is my favorite type of book to read, and I've really read some amazing ones recently. So every time I read one, I'm like, how can you top what I've read? But it seems to be happening at the minute, which is very lucky for me. But anyway, I think I'm gonna head to bed soon, but very happy with my evening. Good morning from me from bed. My favorite place to be. It is Sunday morning. I'm working in a few hours, but I thought I would just do some reading before I got ready, as is my wont on a Sunday morning. Right, so I've been reading Year of the Tiger by Alice Wong. Absolutely loving it. On page 100, as creative memoirs go, it's pretty good. Thoroughly enjoying that. I'll probably update you more when I've read a bit more, because I did speak about it just now. And then last night I started Midnight Chicken by Ellie Risbridger. I was gonna plan on reading this during Christmas because I thought this would be the warm, wholesome content that I would want, but I couldn't resist. I just really fancied it. I'm feeling a bit this week weather's miserable and I've just not been feeling great. So I thought I'd read this, and it's so, I mean, I'm not even that far through it, but so far it's so good. Like, so good. I just wanted to read you. I'm sure, like, the girlies fucking love it. Like, it's been on every podcast, every booktube has probably mentioned it by now. I'm loving that it's paperback. I'm definitely in my paperback era. But I just thought I'd read you this little extract. The recipes in this book have all been made and written with love. Proper love. You are not alone, and let's find comfort together in this enormous pan of paella sort of love. Practical, no nonsense, honest love that nevertheless makes time to hold your hand and ask you how you are and listen to the answer. That is what I wanted in that waiting room. So good. And then she begins by with the midnight chicken recipe, which is what the book is named after, and she's doing the recipe, and she goes halfway through. Pour the rest of the lemon juice into the mug with the ginger and honey. Add hot water from the kettle. Stir, drink, steady yourself. It's so full of care and consideration, and it's beautiful. It really is. Her writing is just so beautiful. So I'm going to carry on reading this now, I think, because I'm just feeling a bit, I want to be cozy. I want to be held by a book right now. Yeah, okay. I will catch up with you later.
I rang Letty because of...
Bon apple teeth.
Bon apple tea.
Hello, I'm still at my parents' house. This morning I went through the bookshelves that I have here to see if there was any books I wanted to reread. I set myself the challenge this year of reading 100 books, which I have now done. But within that, I didn't want to read any books that I'd read before. And in the past, I have been a huge rereader. It's something that I love to do because I forget books almost instantly, and it is infuriating when I read a book that I love, that I think is amazing, and then I just forget it. So rereading is really important to me because it cements a favourite book within my little brain. So yes, here are some books that I want to reread. I think I might start one of them this afternoon, even though I've got a few books on the go. These here. There's always room for some more, isn't there? Probably not. Probably a bad idea. But anyway. So one of them was Bridget Jones by Helen Fielding. I reread this a number of times. I think I first read it when I was 15. My mum read it and we watched the film together and just always loved it. This is dogged, and I always like to read this at the beginning of the year because it is a diary, so it is a year in her life, so it feels good to read it in January when I have high expectations of keeping a diary myself. So I think I'm going to reread that sometime at the end of the year or within the new year. Also, I wanted to read Stoner by John Williams again. I read this in my teens. I can't remember exactly when, and I remember liking it because I have kept it all this time, but I can't remember what made me read it. I feel like it's definitely having a moment on BookTube, Bookstagram, and Jess of Sunbeams Jess on YouTube recently did it for her book club, Patreon book club that is, and said it was really good, and I think she is a very good judge of a book. she has very high standards. So I'd like to reread that too, because I can't really remember it, if I'm honest, but I obviously kept it because I liked it. Sweet Bitter by Stephanie Danler. I started reading My First Popsicle, which is a anthology, that's what you'd call it, of essays by different writers talking about food and emotions. It's been put together by Zosia, I can't remember her surname. She was Shoshana in Girls. I think she's great. Anyway, Stephanie wrote an essay for that, and it kind of reminded me that I've read Sweet Bitter and I really liked it, and it's all about working in hospitality. I think she works at a restaurant, doesn't she, in New York? Both me and my boyfriend work in hospitality. We met whilst working together, so I think I would like to reread this now, because I think I have different thoughts on hospitality than when I first read this, which I think was probably when I was 20, maybe. So yeah, I want to reread that one. Heartburn by Nora Ephron. Just read Dear Dolly, as you may know, and loved it. And obviously Dolly has been heavily influenced by Nora Ephron. I think I read this while I was living in London, 2019. I would have been about 24, 25 when I last read this. Yes, kind of loosely remember what it's about, but can't fully. So love to reread that. Then I've got American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. I also read this when I was in London. Probably, if I had to pick one favourite book, one fiction favourite book, it probably would be this. I think it's masterful. Like, I love it so much. I would love to do an essay on it. I know it's probably problematic. It's a very problematic fave, but for me, it was, I loved it. I really do love this book, and I would like, I've only read it once, so I would like to reread that. M Train by Patti Smith. I feel like this isn't the book that I should be picking up. I should reread Just Kids, even though I've read that so many times. I've also, that is my most gifted book to other people, Just Kids. But I feel like one of them starts at New Year. Maybe. One of them opens and she's literally writing in a coffee shop in, is it this one? I can't remember, but I would like to reread some of her writing. She's got a new book out, so I would like to pick up one of hers. And then the one I actually think I'm going to start today is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Atessa Moshfegh. I read this back in 18, I think, off the High Lows recommendation. I think it might have been the first Atessa Moshfegh I ever read. I've read 3 of her books now. I can't remember, but yeah, I'd quite like to reread that. I've also picked up The Most Nora Ephron Up From My Flat. I would quite like to start this. I'm being really overly ambitious in my reading plans, but yeah, we're just gonna go with it. Last night I made double sauce egg and chips on Midnight Chicken. It was amazing. Highly recommend. I have other recipes that I would like to try from this in the future, hopefully soon. So yeah, I'm just going to spend the next hour or 2 reading. It's really miserable here. Do not want to leave the house, so I'm not planning to. I will hit you up with an update later. Bon appetit. This is my outfit of the day. I really want to wear my new shoes, but it's really horrible outside, so I think I'm just going to wear my trainers. Whoop, whoop. Oh my god, I am sweaty. So I just got back from picking up my prescription in town. Went to go get a coffee. Yeah, I just thought I would wrap up this video by going through the books that I have. I've not managed to actually finish any, but also I did an odd thing. I went into my local independent and bought Cult Following by Bexy Cameron. This is a memoir about a woman who was born into the Children of God cult, and her going back and looking, and she goes on like a road trip investigating cults. I don't really know, I thought it sounded up my alley. But anyway, I thought I would just talk about through the books. I've not actually finished any books, possibly because I'm reading 4 books now at the same time, which is never a good idea. I never find that ends well. But anyway, right, so Midnight Chicken, halfway through, thereabouts, loving it, so good, highly recommend, would make a really good Christmas present. Done a few of the recipes now and enjoying that. Creative memoir that I've started, not as far away through this as the others, but yes, loving this. As memoirs go, it's really up there, by the activist Alice Wong, who is the creator of Disability Visibility. Loving that. Also started a reread of My Rest and Relaxation, over halfway, or just about halfway actually. Read this the majority of last night. Forgotten how amazing it was, and I just want to read this the blurb, because I think it's probably one of the best I've ever come across. A shocking, hilarious and strangely tender novel about a young woman's experiment in narcotic hibernation, aided and abetted by one of the worst psychiatrists in the annals of literature. A narrator has many of the advantages of life on the surface. Young, thin, pretty, a recent Columbia graduate, she lives in an apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, paid for, like everything else, by her inheritance. But there is a vacuum at the heart of things, and it just isn't the loss of her parents in college, or the way her Wall Street boyfriend treats her, or her sadomasochistic relationship with her alleged best friend. It's the year 2000 in a city aglitter with wealth and possibility. What could be so terribly wrong? The story of a year spent under the influence of a truly mad combination of drugs designed to heal us from our alienation from this world, showing us how reasonable, even necessary, the alienation sometimes is. Blackly funny, both merciless and compassionate, dangling its legs on the edge of 9/11, this novel is a showcase for the gifts of one of America's major young writers working at the height of her powers. This is the only thing that I think kind of doesn't work for me in this book, is the fact that it's set in 2000. I think it's conveniently been set there because she wanted to end it with 9/11, but I feel like it doesn't necessarily feel, to me it feels very present day. It doesn't really feel very early 2000. But then I think we have got this idea of wanting to completely switch off at the minute, because we're constantly available and constantly on our phones, like online all the time. So I think this desire to escape that is really strong at the minute, but obviously this was set in a time before social media and stuff, which I think is quite interesting to think about. Anyway, it's amazing, I'm loving it. Forgotten how good it was. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. Also, I've not been sleeping that well. Well, I have been sleeping. But anyway, I woke up really early this morning at 5 o'clock and couldn't get back to sleep. So I was reading on my Kindle, as I like to do in bed. and I started it a couple of nights ago actually, but I'm getting really into it now. Into the Woods by Tana French, which is part of the Dublin Murder Squad. I think it's the first one. It's really famous, I'm sure everyone's heard of it. I don't really like reading thrillers, but I thought when I'm in bed and I just need something that's going to be like pacey, it'd be really good. And I'm enjoying it. I think it's very tropey, and I don't really always like the male narrator that much. I think some of the comments he makes are a bit icky. But I guess though you really feel like you're in his mind, and it's about a present day murder, but it's also kind of linked loosely to something that's happened in the past 20 years ago, which the main detective was personally involved with. And I don't know who's done it at the minute. I'm about 30% of the way through, and I literally don't have a clue. And I'm quite enjoying it. So maybe going forward, I'll reach for more thrillers and crime, because I am, racing through it, really enjoying it. Not felt that way about a book. Like, I'm really enjoying what I'm reading, but it's it's a different feeling reading a thriller, I think, than reading just, do you know what I mean? Like, anyway, but very good books out on the go at the minute. I'm gonna end it here. I have, like, say hi, dogs with me today. Maybe I'll finish a book in my next video. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe if you could be so kind. Don't worry if not though, that's absolutely fine. Just happy that you made it this far. Anyway, see you in the next one. Bye.